Good evening, everybody. I am Issa Shtayeh from Palestine. I'm going actually to give you a quick overview presentation on a research study done in our country titled as Streptococcus pneumonia from West Bank Palestinian nasopharyngeal carriers, serotype distribution, as well as antimicrobial resistance. The WHO estimates that around 1 million of children below the age of 5 years die each year from invasive pneumococcal disease. And the Streptococcus pneumonia as a bacterial pathogen is a major cause of morbidity and mortality worldwide. And that the colonized Streptococcus pneumonia in the nasopharynx is a precursor of invasive disease and is a major risk factor in the spread of infection and reflecting the infecting causing strains currently circulating in the community through which is called horizontal dissemination. Unfortunately, in our country, there were no national data available regarding the colonization rate and serotype distribution of Streptococcus pneumonia among the healthy children below the age of 2 years, and as well as also the IBD in our country. So the Palestinian Ministry of Health thought that it is much better to conduct a study in order to understand the basic or the baseline data regarding the colonization rate of Streptococcus pneumonia and the serotype distribution before the introduction of the PCV as a Palestinian National Immunization Program. So the objective of the study. Our objective of the study was to define the nasopharyngeal carrier rates of the Streptococcus pneumonia among the Palestinian children lived in the West Bank younger than 2 years of age, and at the same time to determine the serotype distribution and the antimicrobial resistance. The methods used. A cross-sectional study was done in 3 months between November 2012 through January 2013, where nasopharyngeal specimens were collected from 397 healthy children under the age of 2 years from all West Bank districts. And the nasopharyngeal specimens were collected by well-trained physicians in order to have standardization or standard data collected, of course, collected from the primary health care clinics. And the practical work were done at the Central Public Health Laboratory in Ramallah region. This is a quick overview of what is done in the laboratory. I know it is a pure technical issues, but I have to mention here that what is done is we cultivate the nasopharyngeal swabs on specific media. After that, we isolate the suspected Streptococcus pneumonia bacteria and identify the bacteria, and we did the drug susceptibility testing, and finally we determined the serotyping of the bacteria. Here just to mention that Streptococcus pneumonia is identified by classical microbiological methods, and any confused colonies were confirmed using the real-time PCR adopted from CDC protocol, and the drug susceptibility test methods used were disk diffusion as well as minimum inhibitory concentration. And the serotype were identified using the multiplex PCR serotype specific primers. Results. The carrier rates were determined to be 55.7%, and regarding the drug susceptibility test, the table shows here, we use, of course, just 6 antibiotics in the study, and here I want to highlight that around 60.8% of the encountered or the evaluated pneumococcal isolates were non-susceptible to penicillin, and also there is a full resistance of evaluated pneumococcal strains or in pneumococcal isolates which is full resistant to erythromycin, tetracycline, and trimethoprim sulfamixazole, and there is no resistance for cefotaxime as well as vancomycin and amoxicillin clavulanate. Here, this table shows the serotype distribution among the evaluated pneumococcal isolates. This is the serotypes because we have more than 95 serotypes of Streptococcus pneumonia, and this is during the study we determined just 27 serotypes, and this is the predominant serotypes that is determined in the study: 6A, 19F, 23F, 6B, 19A, 40, and 15B and C, and 34. And the main serotypes were BCV serotypes, and also BCV13 serotypes. The study shows a carrier rate of 55.7%, and this was almost similar to different studies in the same geographical region in our country. For example, in Gaza Strip, there was a study estimated that 50% of nasopharyngeal carriers, and also in southern Israel, also the carrier rate was 58%. The prevalent pneumonia serotypes determined this study account almost the worldwide most common ones, despite some percentage differences among them. 37.1 of the carrier strain were of the serotype covered by BCV7, and 56.1 were covered by BCV13 vaccine, providing additional 19% of serotype covered over the BCV7. And the serotype 6A, which is not included in the BCV vaccine, was the most prevalent. In this study, the 6 most prevalent serotypes that is determined represent more than 0.5% of the encountered strains and are associated with a high rate of non-susceptible to penicillin antibiotic. This goes the same with findings in the other regions. Our study reports the prevalence of Streptococcus pneumoniae serotypes colonization from healthy children residing in the West Bank. Our study favors the use of BCV vaccine because of the additional or the added value compared with BCV7, and also the introduction of the proper BCV in the vaccination program will not help to reduce the incidence of pneumococcal disease, but also it will help to reduce the infection causing by the drug resistance Streptococcus pneumonia bacteria. Recommendation: result of our study can be used as a baseline data, evidence data needed during the decision on the introduction of the BCV in the Palestinian National Immunization Program. In this type of study, actually, it reflects a successful integration between the laboratory part as well as the physicians and decision makers in order to put their decision to introduce the vaccine as a national immunization program in the country. Finally, the research study was funded by Restrovich for the health children, and thank you all for the attention.
Issa. Thank you very much for very interesting presentations. Do we have any questions or comments?
Thank you for the presentation. What you show us is just perfect. Nothing more, nothing less, it's perfect. That's what intervention epidemiology is about. You have a good idea, you have all the elements in place, you develop a good study, and you come with your policy-relevant conclusions. On top of this, you raise the #1 public health issue of the future, AMR, antimicrobial resistance. So I cannot say more. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Yes, I would. Isabel Noguer from Carlos III, Spain. I would like to congratulate you because you have done an excellent work. We didn't achieve in our country to collect data to achieve the same conclusions. That's because I congratulate you so much. And I would like to ask you some question about the sampling. Did you collect children from school, or you have collect information from banks or districts, but in schools, or where?
Actually, the samples collected from children under the age of 2 years during the routine follow-up in the primary healthcare clinics. When they are, referred to the primary health clinics, they collect randomly these samples from the studied districts, the studied subjects. Sorry.
Thank you.